Hello, and welcome to the Fanfiction Book Club podcast, a weekly podcast that explores the good, the bad, and the cringy of fanfiction, hosted by me, Poppy, and my lovely co-hosts, SG,
Hey,
Ollie,
hi,
and Tstan.
Oh,
Every month, we scour the internet to bring you 4 different fanfic reads, and our theme this month is Star Wars. Check out our website at fanfictionbookclub.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at fanfictionados for the full lineup of stories for the month and to connect with us on the web. So, the fanfiction that I chose, my choice, was To Make or Break by Rilliane? Not sure.
I think it's Rilliane.
Rilliane. And it is on fanfiction.net. It is a Hunger Games AU of Star Wars. So I'll read the summary. Hunger Games AU. 3 years after the fall of the Republic, the Rebel Alliance started an uprising. In retribution, Emperor Palpatine established the Galactic Games, an event where 50 tributes would fight to the death, and only one of them surviving to claim the title of victor. This year marks the 14th Galactic Games. Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa both intend to win. So this is 2 chapters. It's got just under 25,000 words. And it was published on July 13th of 2020. So this was very interesting fanfiction. It begins with the day of the reaping. For those of you who are familiar with the Hunger Games, you know what the reaping is. So it's the day of the reaping, and each planet has their own reaping, which is why I guess they upped the tributes to 50.
So there's 25 planets, and they have a boy and a girl from each planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's how math works, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, Luke this is Luke and Leia's, last year, and it starts in Luke's perspective, and Luke is nervous, and he's like, I've got a really bad feeling about this. And then Luke gets chosen, as the boy, tribute of his planet, Tatooine. And then it cuts to Leia, who has just been chosen as the girl tribute of Alderaan, her planet. And then it just cuts back and forth between Luke and Leia's perspective, and Han Solo is Luke's mentor. Yeah, so it just goes through. So chapter 1 is the preparation for the game. So the interview and the reaping, the interviews, the getting to the capital, which I don't remember what planet the capital is supposed to be. And then Lando is Leia's stylist. Leia's mentor is a drunk, and I don't even remember what that person's name was because they are barely mentioned in the story. But Lando's her stylist. Lando is the Cinna, and then Han is Haymitch. Han won the first games, and now is the mentor. So, yeah, it just goes back and forth, and then Darth Vader, cuts to Darth Vader, and during the little parade, I guess, of tributes, they announce that the tribute from Tatooine is Luke Skywalker, and Darth Vader freaks out. He's like, wait a second, my son, that's my son, huh? That's okay, he's supposed to be dead. And then he's like, I'm gonna kill Emperor Palpatine, and he doesn't, but he's like, I'm gonna, though, eventually, just you wait. And, and then, he's like, I'm gonna make sure that Luke wins the games, no matter what. So, Darth Vader is the sponsor of Luke in the games, and Han Solo's like, are really? he's gonna give Han like all of this money for Luke to win the games, and so like Luke and Leia are both kind of Katniss in this. Like later on, Luke kind of becomes Peeta, but at the beginning, they're both kind of like Katniss, pretty much. And so in the training for the games, like Leia shoots a ball above the game maker's head, and then she's forbidden from being able to use the blasters. And like this whole time, there's like this underplot where the Emperor like set up Leia to be in the games because Leia's like the princess, and so they want to make an example out of her to kill her. So it's like it was rigged so that she would get chosen. So everyone's against her. And then they go, chapter 2, they go into the games. And Luke and Leia both run away from the cornucopia, where everyone's battling for the supplies and stuff. And Leia like climbs up into a tree and hides, and then Luke finds like a cave to go into, and he makes an alliance with this other guy. Oh god, what was his name? Hobby or Hobie? Hobby or Hobie?
I think it's Hobby. Double B short vowel.
Yeah. So he finds this other tribute named Hobby, and they form a little alliance. But then they eventually get like thrown out of this cave that they're in, and they get injured, and then Hobby dies. Meanwhile, Leia is like trying to fight for her life, and she kills a couple people, and she's like horrified with herself. And then Leia gets like trapped in this net by another tribute, and the girl's like, well, I'm gonna kill you now. Like, I'll let you say your goodbyes real quick, but I'm gonna kill you. And Luke stumbles upon this, and he kills the person that's got her trapped. And then they're like, well, let's form an alliance. Okay, cool. And so they form an alliance. They can't bring themselves to kill each other for whatever reason. They haven't talked all that much, but they're like, I can't kill you. And then they eventually decide to take out the other remaining tributes. There are like 4 left. And eventually they do. They like have explosives and stuff, and they're like throwing explosives at the other people, other tributes, and then it's just the 2 of them left, and they're like, oh crap, I can't kill you. And Luke's like, I can't kill you, and Leia's like, I can't kill you either. Great. So then Luke has like modified the blasters that they have and set them to stun, and he's like, all right, fine, we're just gonna kill ourselves. Have that be done. And they're like, okay. So they're about to kill themselves, and then Darth Vader's like, whoa, stop, don't do that, you guys are both the winners, yay. But he made it sound like it was the game maker who said that. And then it plays out kind of like the Hunger Games, where they are now both the victors, but Luke has kind of started an uprising because of that stunt. And the game maker dies, and it ends with Darth Vader being like, I'm gonna get my son back. But yep, and that's this fic.
Yep, that's this fic. And for people who don't know anything about the Hunger Games, the idea essentially is that the Empire, and even in the Hunger Games, whatever they called their empire, what did they call their empire in the Hunger Games? I know there was the capital. So the capital to control different districts, and the Empire's doing this to control certain planets. They force each of the districts to offer up a tribute one male and one female. I don't know if it's every year or I think it's every year, right?
Every year, yeah.
Yeah, every year they have to offer up a tribute from their district, in this case in Star Wars, from each of the planets that apparently helped the Jedi during the rebellion or something.
Yeah.
Like that in their first rebellion. So this is like a punishment in a way that the Empire controls these planets. And so what happens is each planet has 2 tributes, a male and a female, and they take them to whatever the capital of the Empire is, and they make them fight each other to the death until there's one person left. And so that's what happens in Hunger Games, and that's like the Hunger Games-y aspect being brought into the Star Wars universe, which I think was a pretty cool transition. I think that idea of trying to control these planets by doing that and keeping them from revolting, I mean, I think that was a pretty good way of inserting the Hunger Games strategy that the Capitol had into this world. So I could believe it as an AU for the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was reading the tags and it says Final Fantasy X crossover.
What?
Oh, wait.
Are you looking at the right thing?
I clicked a weird button and it went up to a different story by Steve Wars. Never mind.
Okay.
I was about to say, no,
I
it does not.
I was like, I don't know where that
Final Fantasy in this.
Ignore me. Like, how?
I enjoyed this story. It was pretty easy to read, and like I could see this, like, in a weird way, I could see this happening. Like, even though it's like a crossover of 2 things that would never be crossed over. Like, I could see it happening in like
I mean,
I could see Palpatine making the planets do this.
It fit really well into the Star Wars universe. I think that my only qualm with the story was that for it being so short, I feel like they spent a lot of time on the prep and like post actual Hunger Games events.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
kinda
love to
wish
see afterwards.
There was more. I don't know if even like more afterwards, but more just like what was going on during the games, and maybe like a callback to Palpatine trying to get rid of Leia. Like, I don't know if like the game master was like doing things to specifically target her or something to kind of reinforce that conspiracy that she was specifically chosen. But it didn't feel like they did anything specifically to her.
Yeah, they didn't really.
Yeah, which I guess is nice. I mean, that works out nice for her. But it's like, why would you go through the trouble of rigging her being in the games to quote-unquote get rid of her, and then you don't make an extra effort to get rid of her?
Yeah.
I think that's like my only 2 things that I think could have been like expanded on, that would have added more to the B plot in the political intrigue in the story.
My issue with the story, because I kind of got bored, but mainly because I kind of knew what was going to happen. They made it 2 Hunger Games, and the Hunger Games has, its books, and I just felt like they're just going too close.
They definitely followed the story really closely.
Yeah, so I got bored. Like, nothing was really new. Like, yes, I know what's going to happen. They're going to fight. They're not going to die. Like, I can see the direction where things are going. So I kind of got bored.
But Ollie, they don't fall in love. They're siblings.
Well, yes.
Yeah, that's like...
Thank God. I was so worried.
I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, it was the Hunger Games, but with Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
Like, and also, like, the Empire and, like that was like a thing in the back, like, and like politics was like kind of a thing in the background, which I guess it is also in the Hunger Games. So
what do you think, Tristan? You haven't said anything.
I'm sorry. Well, I just basically would just be agreeing with everything that's already been said. I just wish that they'd added a little bit more at the end.
What would you have wanted to see?
Just like an extension, maybe more character between the twins. I think you're right. The preparation stage is a little too long.
I don't even think they really needed any of it. I think they could have, like, maybe had a paragraph they trained or something.
Yeah.
And then just gone straight into the fighting.
Because at the end, Palpatine hints at consequences and the difficulties of preparing Luke, for the dark side, and I would have loved to have seen any of that.
Yeah, this was like, it was setting up for a sequel.
Yes. Yeah. I think the writer was definitely setting up to write another piece. And it doesn't look like they wrote it. I checked their thing.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah,
maybe one day.
Yeah, this was only posted in 2020, so.
Yeah, because I think to make or break, this is their first Hunger Games AU. Their other stuff. Oh, they have Code Geass fan fiction.
Yeah, and then they have Percy Jackson, Charmed, Atlantis.
Charmed? People write fanfic about Charmed?
Yeah, well, they did in 2013.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, this was only July. So we'll see if it gets continued.
It's been a hot minute since July.
It's only been 6 months.
Some of these things take years to come out.
Nah.
Yeah. So what'd you guys think of the characters?
Meh.
I mean, it was Star Wars and Hunger Games.
Yeah, that's why I kind of wish that, like, in the when they were in the Hunger Games, I kind of wish there was more moments in there of them doing things so we could kind of see what their character was.
Yeah.
I think the author was really depending on us just importing their character traits from the movie series to kind of fill in those gaps, which there isn't a problem with, because that's kind of one of the nice things about fan fiction is you don't have to do as much explaining, but there can still be moments where their character shines. I feel like Han Solo was the strongest character.
Yeah, he had the most actual development.
Yeah, he had the most development and the most sense of a personality outside of just I'm a good person. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like both Luke and Leia, they both just they were just lacking in a personality. Like, I just didn't. They just felt boring to me.
Yeah, and
very one-dimensional.
And it didn't feel like the fear. And I kind of felt this way about the Hunger Games books too. The first set, the fear of the fact that you are most likely going to die the minute you walk into these games. I didn't really feel it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the downside of taking two really well-known, fandoms, Hunger Games and Star Wars, because they're not going to die.
Yeah, they're not going to die.
There's no stakes because the story ends for how the story ends for both of them.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with the stories.
Yeah. And so with Darth Vader, he knows who his son is because his last name's Skywalker? Or okay.
Was he supposed to be in hiding?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
why didn't he change his name?
That's a great question.
Yeah, why didn't they change his name? So is that the only reason that Darth Vader
Pretty
knew
much,
that
yeah.
was his son?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It was really dumb. Like, why would he go into hiding and then not
change his name?
Not change his, come on.
Because Darth Vader would never step foot on the hellscape that is Tatooine.
Sure, but change his last name. Like,
it seemed like his parents weren't that worried for him, or his aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
Weren't that worried for him, considering, because they know that he's in hiding, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you make a good point. The story touched a lot on Leia's adoptive parents, worrying about her.
Yeah.
Alderaan worrying about her. nothing about aunt and uncle
Yeah, because they're
in
like,
Tatooine.
because Uncle Owen's like, it's time to go. It's like, are we worried
ya.
at all about the fact that this kid got called who's supposed to be in hiding from the number 2 to the Emperor?
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, there were. I think it was a good story. I think there was just
Absolutely.
like some little continuity things, but I mean, I liked how they introduced the characters.
Yeah, the writing was good. The characters were fine. It just little nitpicks
Yeah, those little nitpicky things.
about the fact that we know how Hunger Games ends.
Yeah. I really wish, that they would have like thrown some sort of curveball in there. Or like, I was thinking as I was reading it, like, oh my gosh, the Hunger Games are going to start. There's already a resistance building, and they're going to like crash the Hunger Games. Mm-hmm. And Samuel L. Jackson's going to pop in and be like, let me take you kids out of here. Or something like that. Like, I was waiting for some sort of curveball to hit.
And just to like preface, I've read the Hunger Games books, but I was never like a big fan of it, mainly because like when the series came out, like there was a bunch of other books with the same concept of like kids fighting each other, and then there's like a resistance and blah 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 blah. So it wasn't my favorite.
Because that was series. Like, so there was the Hunger Games, and there was the Maze Runners, and then
like Divergent,
and the Divergent series.
Yeah,
I like the Divergent series a little bit better than the Hunger Games.
I like the Hunger Games better than Divergent.
Yeah,
like, I mean, the Divergent like piggybacked off of the Hunger Games.
Oh, it totally did. But I like the idea of you're forced into different personalities and what happens to people who don't follow.
No, I mean, I liked Divergent.
Oh, I guess I didn't go past. I think I read the first 2.
Yeah,
I didn't keep going.
It went off the rails. But yeah,
because I know they developed some sort of resistance thing. But yeah, that was definitely a popular theme back then. The dystopian future, rebellion.
It just became repetitive.
Yeah,
for me at least.
Yeah, and that's when I retreated into my Jane Austen and Regency literature or something different.
Yeah, but I did appreciate, the writing in this story, because they went into pretty nice detail, like discussing clothes and like climate and just like little descriptions and minor details, which I guess helped create a more like visceral setting or imagery.
Yeah,
what was going on.
Yeah, definitely. I think this story was like a really nice entry point to exploring parts of the Star Wars universe without necessarily knowing anything about Star Wars.
Yeah,
which I appreciated, because I don't know anything about Star Wars. Yeah.
So, what did you guys think about the writing?
I thought it was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think it was easy to follow. I think the way they did their dialogue was fine. Yeah, I don't have any issues with it.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, just easy to read. Not too much description. Not too much like Well, I think when they were in the Hunger Games, I think there was a little more telling than doing than I would have liked. But I get it. They have to keep it short. If they have too many like specific scenes that they're fully fleshing out, then it gets too long, and then it wouldn't be on this podcast.
Like nitpicking, I didn't like that it was 2 chapters, and there's like they could have divided up those chapters into a smaller chapter. You know what I mean? Like it was 2 chapters, but they're both really long chapters that they could have broken up a little bit and create some like And then this happened.
Yeah, I guess they could have broken it up differently. And I wonder if they broke it up differently, if that would have helped them to realize that the first section of it had a little more going on with it than it needed to.
Yeah,
like there was
first
a
chapter
lot
was
of build up. Yeah.
And then the
really
second
slow.
chapter, like, things just kind of sped up.
Yeah.
And I was reading on, like, my phone, and I really like the fanfiction mobile app, because it, like, reads really well. You can just swipe for the next chapter.
Uh-huh.
But it was also just really a lot of scrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, that's why I like when you hit like entire work on archive, is that you just get one.
One long thing.
Yeah.
And they break it up. I like archive because I can download a Mobi file that my phone reads to me.
That's nice.
It's a very nice feeture.
Lazy.
Yeah, I just read all of my fan fiction. I don't let people read it.
Oh my gosh. Join 2021 Poppy. We get our fanfic read to us these days.
I feel like this is silly to ask, but how well did they stick to the fandom? I mean, they didn't. Like, they stuck well to the Hunger Games fandom. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they completely destroyed any characterization. Naruto.
That was a disaster.
That was a disaster.
Poppy, we finally have a story that trumps your story.
Yeah. Yes. I've been dethroned.
No,
and
the dirty Cinderella socks are the second worst story we've read.
Well, going back to all the Star Wars stories that we have read, SG.
Yes.
I wanted to see if any of this has sparked any feeling to watch Star Wars or read Star Wars or play the games.
In no way.
No way.
It hasn't piqued my interest. Like, the only reason that I have consumed any amount of Star Wars content is because we read it. We had to like look into it a little bit for the podcast, so I knew some basic stuff. But other than that, I have a YouTuber that I watch, Jesse Cox, and he's like crazy about Star Wars, so I've like absorbed some knowledge from him. But I don't know, for just whatever reason, that series I never got into it, and this hasn't made me want to.
I kind of feel like if you're exposed to Star Wars at a younger age and was like introduced to it, and then as the years goes on, new movies come out, blah blah blah, you look forward to it. But like, I'm just not a fan of space. Like,
oh, that's an odd hot take.
I'm not a fan of space.
I don't know. I just don't like.
I totally understand. I mean, I'm a fan of all things sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah.
But I like more like whimsical sci-fi than this like the super serious stuff is interesting too. But I think because I like more whimsical sci-fi, I was able to get into Star Trek more than I was Star Wars, because Star Wars is a little more serious, and Star Trek for me, it's so ridiculous that I'm just entertained by it. But I totally understand the like not connecting with space.
Yeah, for me, it's like the outfits and like, the setting of them being in like a metal ship.
Yeah.
Thing.
But I mean, it can be cool if the characters are interesting and the plot is interesting. I just, for whatever reason, like nothing, and this is like nothing against Star Wars, because it's a perfectly fine series and all of that.
It sounds like you have something about
I don't dislike Star Wars. There's just nothing about that series has like drawn me into it. Just me, personally.
That's fair. That's entirely fair. It's, not everything is made for everybody.
Yeah, not everything is made for everybody. And you and me, Ollie, it wasn't made for us.
having grown up with it, if I hadn't watched it hadn't watched the original trilogy at such a young age, probably wouldn't be my thing either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Star Wars just
I am a
isn't my
casual
thing.
fan because I watched.
There you go.
I watched.
Yeah.
I started watching it at like in my 20s, so I did not grow up with Star Wars in any way, but I enjoy the movies, and that's as deep as I go.
See, I wish I could even like get through the movies, but for some reason they make me feel the way the Lord of the Rings movies feel. Like they just go on for too long and not enough is happening.
We're gonna cure you of that one day.
I also have never watched Lord of the Rings. I mean, I've watched the first movie,
I've tried to watch Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen any of the Hobbits. I read the book The Hobbit, and it's a great book. But
I've watched the Hobbits movies because my friends wanted to go see it, so I went with them. And oh my god, I almost fell asleep with all of them. I have not watched any Lord of the Rings movies because I keep falling asleep.
Yes,
I know, it just makes me so tired. I just can't.
I feel like I could read it, but I would never be able to watch it.
This hurts me so much.
I know. I'm so sorry, Tstan. I'm so sorry. If we watch it, it's gonna have to be like in the morning when there's no like I have to have just woken up.
Yeah.
And I'm eating breakfast
have an intermission
to like watch it.
I want to be able to give it another chance.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do
solely for Legolas.
My mom loves Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like,
I didn't know she liked it that much.
Yeah, and it was so funny. She said to me, I think it was over Thanksgiving, she was like, I'm secretly a nerd boy in disguise.
I love your mom so much.
She is your mom, and you're a big nerd, Poppy.
Yeah.
You got it from somewhere.
Yeah.
So, just for context for my comment, I have seen all the extended editions. I have read The Hobbit, read the Lord of the Rings books, and I went to every midnight premiere of the Hobbit movies.
Oh boy.
Wow, that sounds like Poppy and her Harry Potter addiction.
Yeah, that's me, and I've seen all the midnight showings of Harry Potter from Goblet of Fire on. So
that's why I'm groaning, is because this is painful to listen to.
Yeah. No, I get it.
No, I mean like it sounds like it'd be really cool. I think it's the director's fault. I think the director needed to put
blasphemy.
Like a dance sequence or something in there to some hip-hop music.
Okay. To be fair, in the Lord of the Rings books, there's a chapter, and I think it's 17 pages, solely devoted to trees. Like, the scientific words for the trees that they're walking by.
Oh, no.
So, the Lord of the Rings, because I've only read The Hobbit, is Lord of the Rings written from a third... like an omniscient third person?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been a while.
So they can kind of like jump around and just explain the history of things.
Yeah. It's a very dry series. As much as I love it, there
is a book series that I read forever ago and I love it to death. It's called... What is it called? Oh, so they're called The Books of Pelennor by Alison Croghan. And I think they're like kind of along the lines of Lord of the Rings, but it's about bards that have powers. They like sing and they have like this ancient history. And the way that
that is so cool.
It is so cool. Tristan, I don't know how you haven't heard of it, but it's my favorite fantasy series ever. There's 4 books. I can't remember if there's 3 or 4. But I'll send you a link to it and put it in the description. But this is like my favorite fantasy series ever. And it goes through a lot of stuff, and it kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings in a lot of ways, even though I've never read Lord of the Rings. I just know like what I fell asleep to in the movies. But it's pretty epic, and the lead character is a woman. Which is great.
Well, the Amazon blurb, the first thing it is a quote from Tamora Pierce.
I love Tamora Pierce.
I don't remember what it's called, but she did a bunch of those good
she's written some good fantasy books.
The quote is an epic fantasy in the Tolkien tradition with a strong girl hero.
Yeah, Yeah. Pretty much what it is.
That's absolutely fair. That looks like it's gonna be so good.
It's so good. I actually found it when we were in high school. You know that dinky little library they made next to the drama room?
Oh my god.
That you had to like ask for a key to get into?
Yes.
I found it out there. I was just looking and I saw it and I'm like, this is so epic. And then I found the other books at the library because we only had the first one in that dinky little library.
Because all I read out of that library was the manga of Death Note.
They had the Death Note manga in there?
Yes, they did. They had every single volume.
Oh my goodness, why didn't I find that? But anyway, guys, you can tell how much Tstan and I are into fantasy novels. We're huge fantasy nerds.
Just inject it right into my veins.
20 hours later.
I know, just take it and blend it and inject it.
Let's read some comments, yeah?
Yeah, let's read some comments. Just as a recap, we read a Star Wars Hunger Games crossover fanfic, in case anyone forgot and thought this was a fantasy review podcast.
Let's see. So we got a couple that just say, this is really good, where's the sequel? Let's see. Radical Dreamer 57 said, I was never really a fan of Hunger Games, but the concept gels surprisingly well with Star Wars. Will this have a sequel? This works well enough on its own if that's all there is. I do think though that if the Empire was doing blood tests on them, that they'd notice that Luke and Leia are twins, especially after the two of them tried to pretend to be.
That was my other question.
Yeah, I suppose neither Vader or Palpatine were looking for any sort of genetic match, and they're hiding in plain sight, but it's just crazy thing to fly under the radar. Nessa Rose Fangirl, which is funny. Nessa Rose is the Wicked Witch of the East in Wicked. Nessa Rose Fangirl said, I love the Hunger Games, and I love Star Wars, and I love this. Indeed, Vader to learn about Leia too. I need Luke and Leia to learn about each other. I just need them all to know. I cannot wait to see what you do next.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's just like, oh my god, they're related. Someone tell them. Yeah, and then Star Wars Girl 22 said, in all caps, did you just combine my two favorite fandoms and make a good fan fiction out of it? Yes, you did. Please update soon. This is the second best thing that has happened today. The first being Disney announcing that they're making a Bad Batch animated TV show. I
don't know that fandom.
Also, I would really like it if you added a few Legends characters too, though it's just a recommendation.
What's a legend character? Like League of Legends?
I don't think so.
Wouldn't that be crazy? League of Legends, Star Wars in a Hunger Games situation crossover.
Make it happen, SG. Make it happen.
I already have a list of hypothetical fanfics I'm supposed to write for the show.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I don't know what that meant, but that was the last comment.
You know, Bad Batch is an episode of, or is part of the Clone Wars. So it's Disney making more Star Wars.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
All right. Are there
so
any
that
other...
last sentence of that review, by the way, the few Legends characters, that's extended universe stuff.
Oh, for the true fans.
Mm.
That would explain the Star Wars Girl 22.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, does anyone have any other things that they want to talk about this fan fiction?
Oh, I don't know.
It was good. I mean...
Yeah. What's Transparasteel?
Ow.
What?
In the beginning of the story... This is my one note that was never resolved. What is Transparasteel? In the beginning of the story, they were like pulling names out of a bowl or whatever, and the bowl was made of Transparasteel. So I'm assuming it's just transparent steel.
Yeah, I guess it's like plastic.
Instead of glass, but is that like a real thing? in the Star Wars extended universe?
According to Wikipedia.
Okay.
It's a hardy and transparent material primarily used to make windows.
In Star Wars?
And that's what they make Darth Vader's helmet, his eye sockets out of.
That is oddly specific.
All right.
It appears in every Star Wars. Where it's named, who knows?
So Transparacil is like the vibranium of
the
Star Wars universe?
Yeah, but less acknowledged.
Okay.
It appears in Star Wars The Force Awakens, the Visual Dictionary.
Darn, I never bought that one.
No.
Well, great.
So it's a thing. It's just it's a thing.
Yeah.
Kudos, they did their research or
They're a fan. They're a super fan.
Yep.
That's good. All right, cool. What do you guys rate this fan fiction out of 5 lightsabers?
Ooh, that's a toughie.
I know.
I think I would give it a 3 out of 5 because I liked it, and I liked how those two fandoms blended together. I just think it was a bit too predictable.
Yeah. I give this 3.5 lightsabers. I enjoyed it. I did absolutely know exactly what was going to happen, but I still thought that it was a good story.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 lightsabers for pretty much the exact same reason. You know, I kind of figured, I knew it was gonna happen. But it was well written. It was decently paced, and there's nothing wrong with predictability.
No, there's nothing wrong with.
So middle of the road. Good job.
Yeah. Middle of the road, you did good. A 3 is a very good score.
For us, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm piggybacking on everyone else's score, but I would say about 3, a solid 3. Mainly for the good marks, it was well written, and I feel like I say this on every episode, but like as long as there's not a lot of grammatical errors, like the story in my books goes way up. And yeah, I mean, it was well written. I thought it was really slow in the first chapter. Things kind of sped up in the second chapter. But again, it was predictable. I knew it was going to happen. It was a little boring to me. A 3. Lightsaber.
Fabulous.
3s and aboves. What more can you ask for?
Yeah. And now, this is our last Star Wars pick for the month. Who won? Who won this month?
Oh,
who
lost?
Who lost? Obviously not Ollie.
Olivia,
she's not in the running.
No.
Ollie lost. So, out of the 3 of us, what was your favorite story of the month?
I feel like a total narcissist saying this, but I liked my story the best.
Okay.
I thought it was entertaining and silly, and yeah, like HMOs are a pain to deal with. So I feel his pain, and I think it's cool that the author weaved that into a Star Wars fanfic. It's a very unique idea. I
liked Tstan's the best.
Aww.
Yeah, it was cute. It was a cute little story.
Success. See, I'm gonna break the mold, and hopefully we don't get a tie, because I liked SG's best.
Oh, snap.
Oh.
Having come back to it, at the time, I'll be honest, when I was reading it the first time, I was like, this is awful. I'm so bored. But it had some good humor in it, and it was well written. And health insurance is garbage.
It is.
Ollie?
I have to agree. I like SG's pick mainly because that like whole call center thing in the first chapter just like had me literally LOL laughing out loud. So with that being said,
well done.
Awesome. Woohoo!
Yeah.
SG wins Star Wars.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Well, you have 2 actually.
Too.
Do I have 2 points?
Yeah, you got Cinderella and Star Wars. Ollie doesn't have any.
Oh no.
Well, that's what she gets for picking for Wattpad.
Yeah.
It created a great episode, a good story.
It'll be very
It'll
entertaining.
be a very entertaining episode.
You have to start pre-reading these. I'm begging you, please.
No, I didn't pre-read mine either, and I think that makes it a better episode.
Oh.
I pre-read mine.
Thank you.
Because I just want to make sure it would be interesting.
Yeah. Now we have to pick for next month. What's our theme?
Yes, we do.
Oh, gosh.
Who, does someone want to get up a,
Yes, I will.
I know,
you know what I'm talking about.
Random number generator.
I'll be the
Yeah.
game
30.
So, yeah, so we have 30 different options, guys. And so what we do
Woo.
at the end of the month, for the next month, we have a random number generator and a corresponding list of 1 through 30 with random pop culture topics and fandoms and all of that. And
I'm
Poppy...
terrified. I'm actually nervous.
And just, should we give the people a teaser?
A teaser.
Okay,
What
I
it
already
could possibly be.
I already know what it is.
Oh,
Well,
no.
don't tell
Oh, God.
everybody.
Oh.
Things
Okay.
it
Scared.
could be. On our list are Fast and the Furious, The Legend of Zelda, FIFA,
Little
and
Women.
soccer sports, Little Women. Just all kinds of stuff. Criminal Minds, hoping we get that one soon. So,
Oh, God.
Poppy, tell us what we're going to be reading next month for March.
We got number 28, Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, no.
The opera.
Thank you for listening to the Fanfiction Book Club. Our pick this week was To Make or Break by Rilliane. You can find this story and more of the author's work on fanfiction.net. Theme song is Funkorama by Kevin MacLeod. You can find more of Kevin's music on incompetech.filmmusic.io/artist/Kevin-MacLeod. The works discussed on the Fanfiction Book Club are not our own. All characters mentioned belong to their